My name's Tarula, I'm a real bad dude, making sounds and noises that are certainly rude. But when we're on the field, my noises aren't art, or a plain old bar. It's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast, Season 5, Episode 17, Week 17. Starting to get a little sad here, Steve. We only got 2 weeks left to the season. It goes by too fast.
No, you're just heating up.
All right, so we have no teams on bye. We have 3 games already played. 2 of them are probably the best bets on the thing, but and the game last night was just horrible, absolutely horrible. So we do have 3 Saturday games, and then obviously a later Sunday slate. So first game is the Saturday 1 o'clock game. Chargers at Patriots. Chargers are favored by 4.5. And as we go through, we'll kind of mention what teams are fighting for something as far as the playoffs. It's kind of a weird season because there's like teams at the top, a lot of teams at the bottom, and very few teams in the middle. So Chargers are fighting for a playoff spot. They are currently 9-7. They are the number 2 wild card. The teams outside the cutoff are 7-8, so 2 games back.
Colts and the Dolphins and the Bengals 7-8. Patriots
obviously out of playoff contention. So I got to go with the Chargers here. Gus Edwards is going to be out. J.K. Dobbins is questionable, so it sounds like he may be back this week. Last week, I was right about the Patriots, and they put up a good fight against the Bills. They didn't get the win, but they did certainly cover the 14.5 point spread. So I think they probably put it all out there last week. So I feel pretty good about the Chargers here. What do you got?
Well, you talked about Dobbins maybe coming back. They just activated him.
Did they activate him?
Yeah, they activated him, and they expect him to play by Sunday. It's not a guarantee, so you got to check in. Saturday, sorry. Even though it is Friday night. They said they expect him to play, but it didn't sound like it was 100%. But the reason why they activated him is because Edwards is out, and he's on the IR. So I think Dobbins is going to play. Chargers favored by 4.5 on the road against the Patriots. I like the Chargers here.
Okay, same side of that one then. All right.
Yeah,
anything else to add?
Well, Dobbins. Dobbins is averaging 14 carries and 4.8 yards per carry. It's higher than Edwards, who was only averaging 4.2 yards per carry. So they get a bit of a boost if Dobbins is healthy enough to play.
Well, the Patriots are certainly. You can run on them. You can pretty much do anything you want on them.
Yeah, and the Chargers are 7-2 in their last 9 against the spread. So, that's enough for me, even though they're on the road, is to go for the Chargers because the Patriots are really one of the teams that are kind of playing here for the first draft pick. First pick of the draft.
So next game is the Broncos at the Bengals. Currently, the line is Bengals -3. So this is a situation where both teams are fighting for a playoff spot. The Broncos are currently in the wild card spot at 9-6. Bengals are 7-8 on the season, so they are 2 wins back. They would need some help, but the Broncos are in the same conference, so this win against the Broncos, who are in the wild card spot, would help them certainly. I'm kind of back and forth on this game. I've been betting the Broncos a lot this season, and it's paid off for the most part. But they're kind of known for their good defense, but yet the couple games where we've actually gotten to watch them, it seems like they've gotten pretty lit up on by the other team. So I don't know what to make of that. I think I have to take the points because while the Bengals have been winning in recent weeks, since week 8, their wins have come against the Browns twice, the Raiders, the Cowboys, and the Titans. They have lost to Philadelphia, Baltimore, the Chargers, and the Steelers. So to me, that says one thing. They beat up on the bad defenses and they struggle against good defenses. So if we think that the Broncos have a good defense, I have to take the points and go with the Broncos and hope if the Bengals do pull out the victory, which I kind of hope they do, that it's within the spread.
I think we're pretty much aligned in this game too. The Bengals are 3-0 in their last 3 games. You know, like you mentioned, it was the Cowboys, it was the Browns, it was the Titans. They're combined 13-32. So I'm not that impressed. Cowboys being the best of those 3.
Yeah, and that was kind of a lucky win. Got some help there at the end, but
yeah. I mean, I agree. I like Denver here. I think you got to believe in their defense. I'm a big believer now in Bo Nix.
And one other thing, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Bo Nix, when he's not pressured, his stats are pretty impressive. Bengals don't have a great defense. They don't have a great pass rush, and they are going to be without defensive end Sam Hubbard and defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins is questionable. So that would certainly help.
The Broncos are 5-1 against the spread their last 6, so go Broncos.
All right, and then the final Saturday game is the Cardinals at the Rams. Rams are currently 6.5-point favorites. This is a division game. These teams played back in week 2. Cardinals actually won that game 41-10. The Rams were without Puka Nacua in that game, and Cooper Kupp left the game with an injury. Other than that, in this division matchup, the last 6 Cardinals have only won 1 game. The Rams are currently in the number 1 spot in the division. They are 9-6. Seattle, with their win last night, is 9-7. They have the same division record. So if the Rams were to lose this and also be 9-7, I'm not sure who gets the division lead. So Cardinals are obviously out of playoff contention. I guess James Conner left the game last week with an injury, and then their second guy, Trey Benson, is also injured. So something to keep an eye on. I'm kind of torn on this game. I think the Rams do win, but I don't trust Sean McVay with this many points because he has a tendency to take his foot off the gas sometimes. So I could see the Cardinals getting back into it. I just don't know what their motivation level is going to be in this game. So I don't necessarily have a side other than I would put it in a teaser or just bet the money line on the Rams.
I think the game comes down to next week, whoever's going to win that game between the Rams and the Seahawks to win the division. So okay. I see the Rams maybe not even as much as they're going to maybe take their foot off the accelerator a little bit. I don't think that's really what's going to happen, but I just like Cardinals in this spot playing spoiler, even though they've been eliminated. Go on the road, they smoked the Rams in the first game. I think the Cardinals can at least keep it close enough to within 6.5 that I'll be on the right side of the game if you take the Cards.
Okay. All right. And then, so into the Sunday games, I guess this is a Sunday 1:00. Cowboys at Eagles. Eagles are currently 7.5-point favorites. I don't know if that's changed since I put this together, but this is obviously a division game as well. These teams played in week 10. Eagles won that game 34-6. That was Cooper Rush's first start after Dak Prescott got hurt. We saw Jalen Hurts leave the game with a concussion last week. Backup quarterback Kenny Pickett has an issue with his ribs, but I guess he will get the start. I think Jalen Hurts has been rolled out, right?
No, I don't know that he's definitely out.
I thought I saw that earlier. And the Cowboys will be without CeeDee Lamb in this game. Now, I think the Eagles are pretty much locked into the 2 spot now because 12-3. I guess Washington could finish with the same record if they won out. But Detroit and Minnesota are both up 1 game. So I don't think the conference is feasible at this point for the Eagles. I guess when Kenny Pickett...
I do see it says Jalen Hurts concussion officially ruled out.
Kenny Pickett was okay when he first came in. I guess maybe he had a couple blunders there as the game went on. He seemed to certainly like A.J. Brown. Now, the Cowboys...
It's not a bad thing.
The Cowboys' defense is beatable on the ground, so this would be a good matchup for Saquon. They didn't really run the ball that much in that last matchup. So I think without CeeDee Lamb, I don't know how Cooper Rush is going to fare against the Eagles' defense. I don't know if this is still, I think it might have gone down to 7. So within a touchdown.
Only one spot it's showing 7. Everything else is 7.5.
Okay.
But you got to expect the line to come down with that ruling of Pickett being the starting quarterback for sure.
So I think, up to a touchdown, I'd still have to take the Eagles here.
It concerns me because Kenny Pickett has been wearing a protective sleeve around his ribs. So all week. So he does have bad ribs. He could take one hit, from somebody coming free on that line and knocking him out, and the Eagles are down to the third stringer. So it's going to be a tough one to really have a lot of confidence on. I'm going to take the Eagles here just because I think that, the team will rally around Kenny Pickett. And he should look a little bit better than last week. I thought he was very serviceable and was not the reason why they lost the game. He made some mistakes, true, but they pretty much called the game mostly as if Jalen was still in the game. Like the game plan was set and they didn't really make a lot of changes or call plays that were more conducive to Kenny Pickett's throwing style than Jalen Hurts running the ball and RPOs and things of that nature. So, hopefully they've had time to prepare for Kenny Pickett being the quarterback. He's been the one in practice taking all the reps, so they should have better plan coming in catered towards Kenny Pickett's strengths and not his weaknesses. So I would look for the rest of the team to kind of, with that in mind, stand up and carry Kenny to the win.
Well, I certainly expect A.J. Brown to do that because I'm sure he loves the attention.
Well, he definitely. Let's think about it. I mean, like if Kenny's really only well versed in one of the routes, right, or the number one route, then of course he's probably going to lean on A.J. a lot more this week. So we'll see. He's going to have to spread the ball around. Otherwise, if they see the tendency, they're going to roll the coverage over, and you're going to have to get Smith involved in the passing game.
All right, so next game is the Colts at the Giants. Colts are currently 7.5-point favorites. Now, we're not sure. Apparently, Anthony Richardson has foot and back injuries. He has not practiced all week. Obviously, if he does not start, it would be Joe Flacco. I don't think it matters. I have 2 ideas this week, and it's bet against the Giants and against the Browns, and I'm going to do both. Giants are tanking. I don't care what anybody says. They are firmly in last place by themselves at 2 and whatever it is. What is it, 13 or 14 at this point? And there are quite a few teams that are 3 and whatever. So
2 and 13.
Certainly don't want
3
to
and 12.
lose out on that bottom feeder spot that they have now, which is the first pick in the draft. So I will take the Colts. And Colts are still technically alive in the playoff race, but they're kind of in that same situation. They're 7-8. The last wild card team is 9-6, so they'd have to win out, and they would have to get some help along the way.
Along the point of, we've been carrying this theme for at least the last 4 weeks of the Giants tanking. They're 1-9 against the spread in their last 10. So you just pile it on. Pile it on the Colts no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right, so next game is the Raiders at the Saints. Raiders are currently 1.5-point favorites. Neither team is in the playoff hunt here. This is just a crappy game. Obviously, the Saints are going to be without Derek Carr. They're without Alvin Kamara. Now, Chris Olave was back at practice, apparently. I mean, I would hope that they wouldn't roll him out there given like his history with the concussions and their situation right now in the season. season. I don't think it's worth it. And like personally for him, I don't think it's worth it to go out there in this situation. It is going to be Spencer Rattler starting at quarterback for the Saints. The Raiders, they did get the win last week, which I think we were both thought the Raiders were the better side of that one, even though all the money was on the Jags. I feel the same about this. I just think that overall, and given all the injuries on the Saints side, that they are the better team. But motivation, I wouldn't put a lot of money on this game, period.
No, I agree. I mean, with Kamara being out, the Saints aren't really looking very strong. I would take the Raiders if you had to play it.
All right. And then next game is the Jets at the Bills. Bills are, I think this has actually gone up. I have it at 8.5. It might be up to like 9.5, 10. This is obviously a division game as well. These teams played back in week 6. That was a 3-point game. Bills won 23-20. Now Josh Allen banged up his throwing hand in the Patriots game last week. Buffalo cannot get the number 1 seed in the conference. I guess the only thing they're really at risk of is home field advantage, but what's their record? Are they? No, but they're up to 12-3.
The line's up to 9.5 and 10 in some places.
So Baltimore would be the
Buffalo's
team.
12-3.
12-3. Baltimore is 11-5.
Yep.
They have obviously already played this week. So basically the Bills would have to lose both of their remaining games, I guess, for anybody else to have a shot at the second spot there. On the Jets side, Devontae Adams is questionable. I would take the point just because I don't know how much they're going to risk Josh Allen's health if the game doesn't mean that much. The only thing, it is a division game. I'm going to take the points and take the Jets because of that. The only thing that worries me is last week the Jets played the Rams, and they only put up 9 points. I think it was a touchdown and a field goal, a missed extra point, which they obviously still have kicker issues too. But they didn't punt the ball the entire game. They kept going for it on 4th downs, which obviously they weren't getting because they only scored 9 points. So I don't know what they're doing there. If they're going to take that philosophy into this game, it could be a problem, but I'm going to take the points.
Devontae Adams was the receiving leader with only 68 yards. So it's just something definitely off. Maybe they're just old, or Aaron Rodgers is just old, but I'm taking the Bills. The Jets are just 3-9 against the spread in their last 12. Bills.
All right. Different side. I think that's the first game we're on different sides of. All right, and then next game, we're not going to waste too much time on this one. Titans at Jags, it's a division matchup. Jags are 1.5-point favorites. These teams played in week 14. That was the weird game. Jags ended up winning 10-6. That was Mac Jones versus Will Levis. This will be Mac Jones versus Mason Rudolph. Titans on the season are 2-13 against the spread. I would not put a dime on this shit game.
I kind of like the Titans here. I think they'll split for the series. They're getting 1.5. It probably won't matter. It looks like a 3-point game. But I think the Titans will get the split here. You know, I'm just going to keep playing against Mac Jones. I think Mason Rudolph, if you look at the game last week, you know, Mason Rudolph is just getting into the saddle. Put up 30 points.
The Colts were up 38 to whatever. It was garbage time production.
He got to throwing the ball around a little bit. The Jaguars
garbage
are no
time
good.
Production.
I'd take the Titans.
I wouldn't touch it. All right, next game is the Panthers at the Bucks. Bucks are currently 8.5-point favorites. This is a division game as well. These teams played back in week 13. Bucks won that game 26-23 in overtime, only because Chuba Hubbard fumbled the ball when the Panthers were in field goal range. Back in week 13, I mentioned that I was concerned about the angle of Dave Canales, the head coach of the Panthers, was the former offensive coordinator for the Bucks, perhaps responsible for Baker's resurgence. I'm sure if you asked him, he would tell you that. And that did play out because the Bucks probably should have lost that game. Now, this is a situation where the Bucks and the Falcons are kind of going at it for the division title, and that is their only path to a playoff spot. So the Bucs do need this win. I think they will get the win, but at 8.5, I have to take the points, but I think the safer thing is to put them in a teaser.
I'm going to take the points. I like the Panthers here. I thought about it a lot, and I started looking at this game. I wanted to take the Buccaneers, but because I'm high on the Buccaneers, and I think with Mike Evans that gives enough firepower with Bucky Irvin running the ball well for Baker Mayfield to put some points up. But I think the Panthers, Bryce Young is starting to find his groove, getting some points on the board. The last time you mentioned that they played, it was a 26-23 game at home to Carolina. This time they're on the road in Tampa Bay. But I think it's just too many points for this division matchup. 8.5 is probably sick line. It's crazy. It should be more like 5, maybe 4.5.
All right. And then next game is the Dolphins at the Browns. Dolphins are 6.5 point favorites. Dorian Thompson-Robinson starting for the Browns. That's all I need to know. I don't care what you think about the Dolphins. There's, always talk about Tua playing in cold weather. I don't think it matters. I will comfortably take the Dolphins here up to the touchdown and probably over. They do have a tendency to beat up on bad teams. Browns certainly qualify in that category. And DTR is just not a good quarterback. Dolphins are not technically eliminated, but they need some help. On the other side, David Njoku has already been ruled out as well.
Cleveland's 1-6 against the spread in their last 7, 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 at home. With that, we'll take the Dolphins, even though it is the cold weather. Tua has won some cold weather games this year already.
All right, and then the next game, and this is a 4:00 game, Packers at Vikings. So this is probably one of the more meaningful games of the week. Packers are currently 1.5 point favorites. I think that line did shift from Minnesota at around 1.5.
Minnesota +2?
Yeah. Okay.
Now -1.5.
Yeah. Oh. What?
It's all over the place. I see 1.5. I see 1. I see half. Down to half.
Yeah. So I feel like it went from 1.5 Vikings to 1.5 Packers. But this is a division game. These teams
coming back down.
Played back in week 4. Minnesota won that game 31-29. Minnesota was up 28-0 at halftime. To me, this is kind of just a coin flip game. Like, it's going to come down to like who makes the mistake and who doesn't. I think I have to lean Packers because I don't trust Darnold 100%. I think like if there's going to be a mistake, that's probably where it's going to come from. Matt LaFleur has proven in the past he can scheme things up in certain situations. I think he's going to have the guys ready. So Minnesota still has a shot at the 1 seed. The Packers are 11-4 on the season, pretty much locked into a wild card because you got the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers all in the same division. So,
you take the names off the jerseys. I mean, the Vikings are playing among the best football in the league and probably the most underrated of the top teams. I like the Vikings here. I think the Packers are a little bit overrated. Packers can put it on bad teams, as you saw Monday night against the Saints. This ain't the Saints. This is the Vikings. It's going to be a highly contested matchup, and I see the Vikings winning by at least 3.
Okay. I think it's a coin flip. I don't know. I can't tell you, but all right. And then next game is the Falcons at the Commanders. Commanders are 4.5 point favorites. I already mentioned Falcons and Bucs are fighting for the division spot to get into the playoffs. The Commanders are in the final wild card spot. They have Seattle behind them at 9-7. I guess the Commanders could technically get the division if the Eagles lost out and they won out, but I'm not 100% on that. This will be Michael Penix's second start for the Falcons. I would not take anything away from his performance last week because they were playing the Giants. So I got to take it. Falcons defense, they have no pass rush. Defense, not very good. I think this is a good spot for Jaden Daniels. He's going to be able to move the ball. And I don't know anything about Michael Penix. Like I said, I wouldn't give any credit to last week. So I'm going to take the Commanders in this one.
This game's a 3-point game or less. That said, I'd take the 4.5 with the Falcons.
All right. And then the final game of the week is the Monday night game. Lions at the 49ers. Lions are currently 3.5-point favorites. This is a rematch of the NFC 2023 championship game where San Francisco beat the Lions 34-31. I am done with Kyle Shanahan after last week. I put my faith in him and he let me down. I said after that I wasn't going to bet the 49ers the rest of the way. Lions obviously have a lot of defensive injuries, but they will be able to move the ball, something the 49ers haven't been able to do. That said, Brock Purdy is best throwing the ball over the middle of the field, which is the area that the Lions have always struggled in defending. I looked up the money percentages earlier. None of the games have a very dramatic split except for this one. 87% of the money, 97% of the money and 87% of the bets is on the Lions. So I have a feeling anytime I bet against Kyle Shanahan, he's won. And when I bet on him, he loses. So I almost think that San Fran is probably the right side. But I'm going to take the Lions anyway. But this is the perfect Monday night rig the game setup. And I think the Lions will win, but maybe they don't cover. Maybe that hook gets you.
That's why I like the 49ers here, because you have no reason to like the 49ers here. The Lions are going to come in looking to get revenge. And does revenge mean they win the game? They win the game by 3. Are they happy? Yeah, they're absolutely excited that they go on the road into San Francisco on Monday night, avenge the NFC Championship loss. Doesn't make it better, but they avenge the loss. It's payback. They still don't cover the spread. Everybody loses their money. Take the Niners.
Yeah, it sucks. All right, so if you're watching, remember to like and subscribe, and we will be back here next week for the final week of the NFL season. Peace out. Wildcats. Wildcats.